this is how you do it. I will send this to you, Tyler.
Could you send it to my NYU address?
Sure. Tyler Kustra.
And Jim, I think, is also following on. Are you following on?
Yeah, I'm another bullshit.
I'm already on. I'm waiting for you to get to the advanced stuff.
The internet is not prepared for such word, Drew. Jeez. Google's going to censor us. All right. Now, now that we're on the cluster, we can see what software are available using this. So everybody type in module avail. Module avail. Look at that. Look at all that sweet stuff.
That's what I want to use.
Mathematic, do they have? Anyways, the things that we're interested in are over here. It's got all versions of Python. It's got up-to-date R. It has even 3.1.2, which the old cluster was back in the dark ages of like R2, I think. And then, of course, relevant to what we're doing today, it has Stata 13. And so that's good. Now, if you're using another cluster like Butana or the Hadoop one or whatever, or the Hadoop one you wouldn't be doing. But you might want to check before like trying to run something and then finding out that the software isn't on there. Okay. It also has a relatively recent version of RStudio, which is sort of confusing.
Like RStudio server, like what is it?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I guess you can do export or forwarding or something. I've never done that.
I don't have any idea what you would use it for. I also found out that RStudio now it has like a corporate thing going on. They sell expensive memberships or whatever. In any case. Okay, so when we want to load Stata 13, it's very simple. In the scripts that we're going to use later, we just use load Stata 13. Okay, now let's think about Stata briefly. When you're loading up Stata, you're loading up Stata that doesn't have any packages. And so anytime you run a do file, you need to have the set of packages that you need to install at the top. And so you can do that in one of two ways. Either using an SSC install whatever, and then typically you'll want to put capture in front of it just because idiosyncratically once in a while it will remember that you've installed something, and so if you try to install it and it's already there, sometimes it will be a little whacked out. Usually it doesn't. And then if there are other packages, for example, user written or amended, you can create an a-do folder within your home section, and then you can install your packages each time you run a thing there. It's important to open a log, and logs are good for a couple of reasons. One, if there's an error, this is the only way you'll find out. It's not like there's a terminal that opens up and you can like see what the results are. It's as if everything is running quietly, right? Because it's being done on the cluster, and so there's no like interface. There's no like interactive option. And so there are a couple of things. One is, so for all the things that I do on the cluster, I set up in the programs some kind of a progress metric. So for example, in the middle of when it's doing a program a bunch of times, it will have like a this % done kind of a thing that prints out. And you'll see later on, basically the log is like, I did this, and then a long line of like 11%, 12%, 13%, so that you can check your log file in the middle of while it's doing a routine and find out how far along it is. Because otherwise, obviously, the cluster doesn't know how long it's going to take, and so you can't really, guess how long a project's going to take unless you have programmed into your do file some kind of a updating thing. Setting more off is also important. Usually it doesn't give you problems, but it has on occasion when I've done it where it literally just hung up and was like, you need to press enter in order to keep going, which is kind of hilarious. this is why people laugh about the idea of using Stata in a cluster environment, but whatever. As a result, and then similarly, when you want your log file to, either the actual Stata instance or your log file to skip over stuff, you can strategically use quietly to either make sure that you don't accidentally trip off your setmore off, or you don't want things to show up in the log file. In case, for example, you're printing a lot of stuff and then it's annoying to check up on. Okay, so here's a do file snippet for a project that I ran on the cluster. This is like what the project is. And then for each one, I always stick in some comments about what data are needed so that you can check and make sure that you aren't trying to run something that you don't actually have the data loaded in. Setting up the log file, installing the program package that I needed, all this. And then also important to always save whatever data that is going to be the output of whatever you're doing separately, so you're not overwriting your original one. And then I wrote my program, and so then we started, and then the rest of it runs quietly until at the end, I'll show you later, I set up a thing that allows it to tell me how far along it is based on how many more things it has to do, and then doing a proportion, and then spitting up, I am this much finished with the routine. Yeah? Where should the data be? Yeah, so I'll show you that in a second when we get onto the, we're going to do an example at the end so you can see exactly how it goes. In fact, we're going to do exactly this example. Okay, so the basic thing now is exactly what Maria said. I need these 2 bits of data. I need the do file to be somewhere so that the cluster can find it. And then I need to tell the cluster what to do, right? Okay, so easiest to do it with SSE install for any packages you need. Otherwise, you need to, in the top of your do files, you need to tell it what the do file path is. And so do files, for example, the easiest thing to do is in your home folder, create a folder called a do. And the way the syntax works is that it's home and then your net ID and then a do. So,
or we can just copy paste our current do folder into this.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to do any of the SSE installs.
Right. Well, no, because you still in each do file have to tell it where to go find this stuff, right? So yeah, I think you can do either the SSC install or have them all available here. And then it will, but I believe you still have to tell it to install them, right? No, they just automatically know where to go for it? Okay. Okay, so if you're moving files to or from the cluster in Windows, the best thing to use is this thing called the WindowsSCP. You download it here, WindowsSCP.net. So Tyler, if you want to do that. And then there's just a couple of things that you need to do that. You put in hpc.nyu.edu, your net ID, your password, and then you select the SCP option. And then you'll go through the same login procedure. The cool thing about this particular program, I like it because it's just like it's basically like an FTP thing. You have your local folder on one side, you have the server on the other side, you drag folders, you move them around. It's like essentially you have the your cluster resources like any other folder that you have on your computer. On a Mac, what the HPC people actually recommend is to do all your file transferring back and forth using command line, which I find kind of difficult and annoying. And so what we're going to do today is instead install a program called Fugu, which will allow you to do the same thing where you can just drag programs back, drag files, and it's a GUI that's very intuitive. And so we're going to do that real quick. We're going to install and configure Fugu. Okay. Everyone return to your emails because you have to click on this. Reply to all. So Fugu is an open source thing developed by the University of Michigan. and you just click on that, and it will download the disk image. And then you just drag that to your applications folder on your Mac. So Tyler, while they're doing that, here we can look at this together.
So it's not letting me install it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to try this when I get home.
Okay.
Well, you can get the portable executable and you won't have to install it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm still, the amount of work that I need to do just to log on, those instructions that you sent me seem excellent, but it's going to be...
It takes a little...
I'm trying now, but I don't think I'm going to finish before you go on to...
Okay. All right, so has everyone downloaded the Fugu program and put it into your applications? Okay, very good. Now let's all open up Fugu. Looks like this. Oops. Okay, so to do this, we need to check to make sure that we haven't timed out in the thing we did earlier. So let's go to your terminal and actually I think we're fine. Well, let's just try it anyways. I think we're still okay. Okay, so what you need to do, well, I'll close my tunnel. So does everybody have Fugu open?
Yeah.
This is kind of important. All right, well, I will help Maria, and if it's working for you, go to SSH, new SSH tunnel, and then put in your equivalent.
Are you sure you want to open? And I say yes.
Okay, so do a right click. What does this say?
Does it ignore? Oh, it closed in an unexpected way. Right click is.
Okay. Oh, I see, and it's saying.
And so it closed
What?
in an unexpected. Ignore. You want to say ignore?
Okay, did this one work for you? Let me just see if. You have to drag, okay. Okay, you need to right click on it. Open. Open. Okay, there you go, you're good. So the easiest way is eventually to move that to your applications folder. Okay. All right, so now go to Fugu.
What?
Go to Fugu here, okay. And then go to SSH, new SSH tunnel. All right, Saad, you're all sorted out?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you might have to go try open. I get maybe you need a different version. How old is your MacBook Pro? All right, let's try this.